When suturing, we start at the bottom right corner of all the branches. Suture with the short needle. First, the left and right sides of the woven sheet. Vertical splicing with short needles from bottom to top. We call them seams. To bring the fabric face up, opposite, align the left and right sides. Use short stitch seams from bottom to top. It is important to note that during the sewing process, we must always ensure the bottom and top pins are aligned. We are supporting the position of the lower right and lower left corners of the piece. Adjust both sides of the branch and insert the needle. And we leave a tail for our braid. Put it behind the knit. Hold the tail line with your middle finger. Crochet with thread. There's a coil on the hook, and then we sew up. When suturing, you can see the stitch on the left side of the fabric. We pick up the coils on the outside of the fabric. Both legs are coils near the front. When suturing, we place the tail line between the two pieces. When sewing up, sew the tail thread into our strand. Crochet with thread. There are 2 coils on the hook out crochet. Crochet 2 coils on the crochet. Tighten the first stitch and the hook is ready. And then we crochet upwards. Find the knit. The outer coil goes in. Find the other side tab near the outer coil. The tail line of the needle is placed in the middle of the support piece. Crochet on line. There are 2 coils on the hook out crochet. Then crochet on line. Hook out the 2 coils on the crochet. We'll just hook the second stitch. Then the needle is inserted to pick up the coil on the outside of the fabric. Then pick up the coil on the outside of the other side of the fabric. Crochet with thread. Hook out. Crochet 2 coils on the crochet. Needle insertion. Needle insertion. While crocheting, I still have to look at the knitting. Requires top alignment. Again, we are going to move the top to tab side up. Reverse side aligned with opposite ends. Then in turn, the lower right corner of the left branch and the position of the lower left corner of the right branch. Adjust the 2 threads of the branch into the needle. Crochet with thread. Hook out the tension braided thread. There are 2 coils on the crochet. Then crochet with thread. Hook out the 2 coils on the crochet. First, connect the upper and lower 2 groups together. After connecting together, we still use the same method. Pick up a coil on the outside of the tab. Pick up a coil on the outside of the tab. No needle, no line. So that we can see the production. The 4 corners are joined together. Then use the same method. Pick up the coils on the left and right sides of the producer near the outside. Just hook short needles and sew them together in turn. After the top piece of paper is sewn, we will treat the suture as broken. There is a tail line of 3 to 5 centimeters. Cut the tail line and finally into the transfer suture. That's it. After the vertical seams of the blanket are done, we start in the bottom right corner of the blanket. Interlace pieces up and down to rows from right to left. Splice horizontally with a short needle. We call it a staple knit. Weave face up, opposite, staple from right to left. Because the number of needles for the knitting sheet is different, so you need to pay attention when nailing. Always align the ends of the weave. When you start to sew, we insert the needle from the starting needle. The crochet picks up the two edges of the nail seam. Then use shirt needles to staple and sew in sequence. Pick up our braided thread. Leave a tail line. In the process of stapling, put the tail line into the support piece at the same time. The black branch line is placed behind the branch. Pinch the branch with the middle finger of your left hand. Crochet with thread. There's a coil on the hook. Later, when we were kneeling and sewing, pick up an edge of the fabric near the outside and insert the needle. Also, the back branches are provoked. One near the lateral branch. Side entry needle. Place the tail line from back to front over the crochet. Crochet with line dial out. There are two coils on the crochet. Crochet with thread. Hook out the two coils on the crochet. We just tick the first short needle, then use the same method. Then hook the second short needle. Pick up an edge of the fabric near the front. Pick up an edge of the fabric near the front. Crochet with thread, hook out. Crochet with thread, hook out. In the process of crocheting, we have to make sure that the ends of the weave are aligned at all times. Needle insertion. Weave in the lower right corner, up and down to rows of horizontal nail seams. That's it, we'll move on. Sew to the left using a short needle after the first tissue piece and the last stitch. Then we provoke the second tissue piece on the left. This edge near the outside goes into the needle. Crochet with thread. Pull tight and continue to crochet short stitches forward. And then you go ahead and you crochet with bamboo needles. Put the first line. The second line goes all the way to the sixth line. Just sew the nails. The first line is ticked. After the last two pieces are over, make a break for the tail line. Leave 3 to 5 centimeters of the tail line and cut it. When the tail line is drawn at the end, just hook the paper tightly. The first row of staples from right to left. Connect and we're done. So here we are. Combine the second line and the 5 lines above, all connected. That's it. After the blanket is assembled, we start at the bottom right corner of the blanket. Hook counterclockwise to the lace. Blanket face up. Tip hook a circle of short needles from the lower right corner. When crocheting, be sure to pay attention to the side of the blanket. When we insert the needle, pick up the front edge of the blanket. The outer coils are crocheted. Press the left hand braid on the back of the support. With thumb and the middle finger simultaneously hold the support and braid. Braided thread with a tail line. Crochet knitting. The lower right corner of the piece is inserted into the needle. Pick up both sides of the knit. Crochet with thread. Hook out, crochet with thread. Hook a lock pin first. The needle is then inserted to pick up the outer edge of the fabric. Place the tail line above the crochet. In the process of crocheting lace, hook the tail line directly into the knit. Crochet with a line hooked out. There are 2 coils on the crochet. Then crochet 2 coils on the crochet. We hook the first short needle, then pick up the coil on the outside of the second knitted sheet. Crochet with line hook out. Crochet with thread to hook the 2 coils on the crochet, and we hook the second short needle. Also find the position of the needle of the third needle. Crochet with thread hook out. Crochet 2 coils on the crochet, hook the third short needle. We continue crocheting the stitches in the same way. First loop on the outside of the first fabric. We're hooked, then use the same method. Keep going counterclockwise. Stick egg needles all over the outside of the blanket. That's it. When hooking to the edge with the tail line, we follow the method of finishing line. Just hook the tail line into the knit at the same time. In the process of crocheting the edge short stitches, needle by needle forward. Keep the same position for crocheting. The needles can't get too close. If you get too close, there will be waves at the edge, and even if it gets too far, it will pull the producer too tightly. Try to grasp the distance between the edge short needles as much as possible. The lace will be flatter. When hooked to the 4 corners of the blanket, we need to let the lace follow. Turn the right-angled edges of the blanket. Then we need this needle in the corner of the blanket. Hook 3 short needles in 1 needle. So let's hook this corner of the blanket. The 4 corners are the same at each corner 0. Click on the position of this needle. Hook 3 short needles with vertical edges. When you tick to the horizontal edge, we just need to pick up our side stitches. Each coil of, just hook a short needle. Upper and lower horizontal edges. Needle is relatively regular. We follow the needle stitch by stitch. There will be no problem. So we lace the blankets horizontally. The short needle lace of the first knitting is hooked to the adjacent. When the sewing position of the 2 webs, we can pick up to stitches in the suture position. Put a short needle on the sewing position. Let him make a connection, then knit the adjacent sheets. Pick up 2 coils on the first pin. Hook a short needle. We crochet them. A short needle will do. So either horizontally or vertically, pinning position can have a good connection with lace. We follow the order counterclockwise. 2 horizontal blankets up and down. The edges are each hooked with a short needle lace. Can be done. The first circle of the blanket is crocheted with short stitches and lace. After the short needle lace in the first circle of the book is hooked, here we go for the second turn. The blanket is still facing up. We crochet from the bottom right corner, second loop main hook, and small chain needles. Hook a small chain needle every 3 strips. First hook a lock pin's upright needle. Crochet with thread. Hook a lock pin. Then we hook an adjustment needle. The crocheting method for adjusting needles and short needles is the same. It's just that the position of the needle is different. The position of the needle for adjusting the needle is in the braid, middle of sub needle. Pick up this edge of the pigtail and insert it into the needle. Crochet with a line hooked out. There are 2 coils on the crochet. Then crochet with thread. Hook out the 2 coils on the crochet, and we have the first stitch. So we stitch the pigtails, the bottom edge, left on a piece of paper, and then we hook the needle again. Insert the needle at the center of the needle mesh of the pigtail. Pick up the braid on this edge above the stitch. Crochet with a line hooked out. There are 2 coils on the crochet. Then crochet with thread, hook out the 2 coils on the crochet. We hook the second needle, and then we hook a little chain pin. Crochet with thread, hook first lock pin, crochet with wire hook second lock needle, crochet with wire hook third lock. After the 3 lock pins are hooked, we pick up stitches over the first needle. Insert the needle from right to left on both sides. Pick up both sides of the needle angle. After that, there are 3 cawls on the crochet. Crochet with thread once, hook out the 3 cawls on the crochet. And we did the first braid pin, and then we have the needle in the back. Pick up this edge on the braid needle. Continuous crochet of 3 needles. Insert the needle. Pick up the braid, this edge above the needle head. Crochet with line hook out. Crochet with thread to hook the 2 coils on the crochet. Then insert the needle. Pick up the upper edge of the braid stitch. Crochet with line hook out. Crochet with thread to hook the 2 coils on the crochet. Third adjustment, the upper edge of a needle head raised by a vertical needle. Crochet with thread hook out. Crochet 2 coils on the crochet, hooked 3 needles. Then hook a little braid needle. Crochet with thread hooks out a lock needle. Crochet with thread hook out 2 lock needles. Crochet with thread hook out 3 lock needles. Then, at the mesh position of the 3rd needle adjustment, pick up both sides of the needle. Inject the needle from right to left. Then the line hooks out 3 coils. We hook the second small chain pin, and then we have subsequent stitches. Each hook has 3 needles and a small chain needle. Each hook has 3 needles and a small chain needle. Lace our entire second lap. Just tick it. This is us, the small chain needle on the first knitted piece, and we do it the same way. Put the small chain needles on top of other needles and the lace of the strips. Just complete the crocheting. After hooking the last small chain pin, we connect the lead pin. Insert the needle at the position of the first needle. Pick up both sides of the needle. Crochet with line hook out. Hook out the coil on the crochet to connect the pole needle. Then we knot the tail line. Use a suture needle to retract the tail thread into the reverse side of the branch.